Hello and welcome. We're excited to embark on this journey with you. Today, we're diving into a massive shift across Africa, a continent undergoing rapid transformation and asserting its place on the global stage. A story of power, of nations finding their voice and charting their own course. Partnership, a new era of collaboration and strategic alliances. And the future. A future that is being actively shaped by African agency and ambition. For centuries, Africa's global relationships were largely shaped by external forces, by powers looking to extract resources and exert influence. First by European colonizers who carved up the continent and imposed their systems. Then by Cold War superpowers, vying for ideological dominance and strategic positioning. But now, Africa is choosing its own dance partner, a significant departure from the past. China. This partnership is transforming everything from city skylines with new infrastructure projects reshaping urban landscapes, to international politics, where African nations are increasingly asserting their influence. As of 2025, 53 out of 54 African nations, an overwhelming majority, formally back China's vision on the world stage, signaling a profound shift in allegiances and priorities. A near-unanimous consensus that surprised many in the West, prompting questions about the changing dynamics of global power. Why? What's driving this alignment? The answer is rooted in history, in the legacy of colonialism and the desire for self-determination, present needs, the urgent demands for economic development and infrastructure, and a future African leaders want to build themselves free from external constraints. This isn't just about trade deals, it's about something much bigger. It's a realignment of global power with Africa at the center, a continent no longer content to be a peripheral player. Supporting China means backing it in the UN, lending crucial votes and amplifying its voice on key global issues. Joining initiatives like the Belt and Road, a massive infrastructure project that promises to connect Africa to global markets. And often opposing Western stances, challenging the established order and asserting a new sense of independence. China's diplomatic weight in Africa is now immense, a force to be reckoned with. Built over decades of summits, fostering relationships and building trust. Loans providing much-needed capital for development projects. And projects, tangible investments that are transforming the continent. To understand this shift, we'll explore the history, the long and complex relationship between Africa and the world. What China offers, the specific benefits and opportunities that have attracted African nations, and what African leaders are saying their perspectives on this evolving partnership. We'll also hear from critics who warn of the risks, the potential downsides of this deepening relationship. Is this a partnership of equals, a mutually beneficial arrangement, or something else? A relationship with hidden costs and unintended consequences? Let's find out why Africa is looking east. What's drawing the continent towards China, and what it means for the world, the implications of this shift for global power dynamics and the future of international relations. To understand Africa's turn to China, we must look at its history with the West, a history marked by exploitation. The transatlantic slave trade and colonialism left deep scars, dividing societies and shaping economies to serve Europe. Independence brought hope, but the Cold War made Africa a battleground for foreign ideologies. Western aid often came with strings attached, feeling like a new form of control. Many Africans grew tired of being treated as junior partners or projects to be managed. This created a hunger for respect and partnerships based on mutual benefit. Enter China, not a former colonial power, but a fellow developing nation that pulled itself out of poverty. China's narrative, offering help without lectures, was powerful. For many, the West represented a past of subjugation. China offered a future of sovereign development. This set the stage for a new kind of partnership. China's ties with Africa are a complex and multifaceted story, one that spans decades and encompasses a wide range of political, economic, and social interactions. These connections go back further than many realize, with roots stretching deep into the mid-20th century. It's a history marked by shared ideals and mutual support. In the 1950s and 60s, as African nations fought for independence, China emerged as a vocal and active supporter of African liberation movements. This backing helped in building goodwill as a friend to the oppressed, positioning China as an ally in the struggle against colonialism. The Tazara Railway, a monumental project built in the 1970s, became a powerful symbol of this solidarity. It symbolized this solidarity, a tangible demonstration of China's commitment to African development and self-determination. The railway connected Zambia to the sea when the West refused to help, showcasing China's willingness to step in where others wouldn't. After a period of inward focus and domestic reform, China experienced rapid economic growth. China returned to Africa in the 2000s, now seeking resources to fuel its booming economy and sustain its industrial expansion. To formalize and strengthen these growing ties, the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, FOCAC, was established, institutionalizing the relationship. This platform brought African leaders and high-ranking Chinese officials together on a regular basis. These meetings facilitated massive trade and investment deals, solidifying China's presence on the continent. This new phase was pragmatic. China needed oil to power its factories and transportation networks. It also sought copper and cobalt, essential minerals for its burgeoning electronics and manufacturing industries. Simultaneously, Africa needed capital and expertise to develop its infrastructure and diversify its economies. The synergy was clear. China offered what Africa needed in terms of investment and technical know-how. And it did so at a scale and speed unmatched by the West, leading to rapid infrastructure development across the continent. This Chinese investment shifted from ideology to business, focusing on practical economic partnerships. This approach has been instrumental in transforming the continent's infrastructure, with new roads, bridges, and railways springing up. The dragon had awoken, becoming a major player on the global stage. It was ready to invest in Africa's future, seeing the continent as a key partner in its global ambitions. This partnership was built on mutual needs, a pragmatic approach that moved beyond political slogans and focused on tangible benefits. China's approach was direct: build infrastructure, invest in key sectors, and deliver visible results on the ground. Africa responded positively to this new model, welcoming the investment and opportunities it brought. As both sides saw the benefits, the relationship was set to deepen, promising further cooperation and growth in the years to come. In 2013, President Xi Jinping launched the Belt and Road Initiative, one of history's most ambitious infrastructure projects. Africa became a cornerstone, with Chinese companies building railways, ports, dams, and city districts across the continent. Projects like Kenya's Standard Gauge Railway and Ethiopia's Addis Ababa-Djibouti line are physically reshaping Africa. For African leaders, the appeal is clear. Decades of underdevelopment blamed on poor infrastructure can now be addressed, fast. Western loans came with delays and conditions. China offered quick, comprehensive solutions. Chinese banks fund, Chinese firms build, and projects move from plan to reality in months. This speed allows leaders to deliver visible progress to their citizens. The BRI isn't just about concrete, it's about a vision of a modern, connected Africa. For many, it's proof that development can happen now, not in some distant future. The transformation is visible and immediate. Africa's future is being paved, literally and figuratively. China's offer to Africa goes far beyond infrastructure. China is Africa's largest trading partner, with billions in goods flowing both ways. Raw materials out, affordable consumer goods in. Tens of thousands of African students study in China, while Confucius institutes and vocational centers spread language and skills. Chinese tech giants are building Africa's digital backbone, laying fiber, rolling out 4G and 5G, and leading in mobile payments. China is also a major contributor to UN peacekeeping in Africa and provides military training and equipment. This engagement is comprehensive: trade, training, technology, and security. For many African nations, it's a package the West hasn't matched. The attraction is clear. China is helping build Africa's future on multiple fronts. Across the African continent, a significant shift in partnerships is underway. African leaders are clear about why they choose China. It boils down to respect and sovereignty. There's a sense of mutual understanding and regard that resonates deeply. Unlike the West, China doesn't lecture on governance or human rights. There are no preachy sermons or condescending attitudes. Instead, it talks business, focusing on practical matters and mutual gains. The discussions revolve around timelines, concrete plans, and tangible results. This no-strings-attached approach, where assistance isn't conditional on political reforms, is highly valued by governments seeking to chart their own course, free from external interference. It allows them to define their own priorities and strategies. Efficiency is another draw, the speed at which projects are conceived and executed. Chinese-backed projects move fast, often outpacing Western initiatives in terms of implementation. This rapid progress delivers visible results that matter to voters, showcasing tangible improvements in their daily lives. Many see China as a development role model, a nation that has transformed itself in a few decades. They see a path to lifting millions from poverty through state-led growth, emulating China's success story. The partnership is seen as one between peers, fostering a sense of equality and mutual respect. It's not a relationship of donor and recipient, but one of collaborators working towards shared goals. With China in the mix, African countries have more leverage, enhancing their bargaining power on the global stage. They can negotiate better deals and play powers off each other, securing more favorable terms for their development. This isn't about choosing China over the West, a zero-sum game, but about having options, diversifying partnerships, and pursuing a multi-vector foreign policy. Africa is no longer a passive recipient of aid, dependent on the whims of external actors. It is now an active agent pursuing its own interests, shaping its own destiny, and driving its own development agenda. The relationship is pragmatic, not ideological, driven by mutual benefit and practical considerations. Leaders want results, not lectures, tangible progress that improves the lives of their citizens. China delivers on that promise, providing the infrastructure and investment needed for growth. That's why the partnership endures, because it is built on mutual respect, shared interests, and tangible results. The China-Africa story has critics, and their concerns are real. Debt is the biggest worry. Are Chinese loans creating debt traps that could cost Africa strategic assets? Critics also point to Chinese companies importing their own workers, undercutting local jobs, and sometimes ignoring labor and environmental standards. Cheap Chinese goods can hurt African industries, while some projects have caused environmental damage. China's non-interference policy means it works with any government, raising concerns about propping up authoritarian regimes and enabling corruption. Lack of transparency in deals is another red flag. These are the tough questions Africa must grapple with as the partnership deepens. Despite the criticisms, most African nations are doubling down on their partnership with China. The need for infrastructure is urgent. New roads, power plants, and ports are seen as worth the risk. Many leaders reject the debt trap narrative, noting that Africa owes money to many lenders, not just China. No major African asset has been seized by China. Leaders see the loans as investments in their future. African governments are becoming savvier negotiators, demanding better terms and more local benefits. The relationship is evolving from desperation to strategy. Africa wants to diversify its partnerships and assert independence, not just from the West but from any single power. By embracing China, Africa is sending a message. It's open for business, but on its own terms. The continent is claiming a stronger voice in a multipolar world. What does this partnership mean for Africa's future? The optimistic vision China-funded infrastructure sparks an industrial revolution, connecting Africa's youth to the global economy. The pessimistic view, debt burdens grow, dependence deepens, and democratic norms erode. The reality will likely fall somewhere in between. Africa's future depends on its leaders' ability to negotiate better deals, demand transparency, and insist on local benefits. The rise of China has given Africa unprecedented options and new risks. For the first time, Africa is an active player, not just a battleground for global powers. 53 nations backing China signals a new era of agency and ambition. The challenge: navigate this complex landscape with unity and vision. The world is watching as Africa shapes its own destiny.